welcome to the Tom Sawyer Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. I'm Grant Wall, joined as always by Winona State head football coach Tom Sawyer. And Coach, a tough night for the Warriors in Duluth on Saturday. I'm sure you had to be happy with several of the aspects of the game, but not pleased at all with how everything turned out.
Yeah, I mean, we started out great. I mean, we were throwing the football all over the place. You know, we had over 250 yards passing the first half. Unfortunately, we didn't have the 21 points that we thought we should have with that. So we moved the ball at will against the Bulldog defense, which we haven't been able to do for a few years. So I really thought our game plan was good. Our kids were ready to play. Kids were on point as far as, believing they could win the football game. It wasn't a mismatch in any way, shape, or form. We just didn't capitalize when we had the momentum in that first half. And they had a couple breaks. They had a kick return for a touchdown, and those kind of things right after we scored. So some momentum things really caught up with us. And but the way that we came out and played, I was pleased with. The fast start, something we worked on. We got to do a little better job coming out of halftime. And we went 3 and out to start the second half. We score there, it's a different ball game. So at that particular point, up until that point, we were right in the ball game and felt good about it. On the road, playing at that place is a tough place to play, and we had them right where we wanted to start the football game. We just didn't finish.
You mentioned moving the ball so well on Saturday. John Tiedemann, an outstanding day throwing the football, 375 yards passing. That's the 5th most in a single game in season or in school history. And so he was really locked in throwing the football.
Yeah, and he did it against the number 2 team in the nation. That's different than one of the lesser teams in our league or somebody else. But to do that against Duluth, he had an outstanding day. There was pressure on him. I thought our offensive line did a great job. Ray helped out a little bit in the protections, but he had a lot of time to throw. Kids made the catches, the tough catches, and many times our receivers climbed the ladder to go get some footballs, and so everybody was on the right page, and we just got to finish in the end zone.
We'll see this here in a few minutes in the highlights. But you really got to see John's ability to make all the different throws. He was throwing deep, throwing a lot of those touch, feel type routes, going short across the middle. Really able to make all the throws you need a quarterback to make. Yeah,
especially in our offense. We try to be as diverse as we possibly can and make them defend the whole field, and I think that was on display Saturday night. I think that John has that ability. That's why we brought him here. He's a high percentage passer. He was like 5th in the country when he was at Omaha the last time he was there. So we're looking for that guy to be that consistent, and in 2 ball games he showed us that. So yeah, it makes it tough to defend, and that's what we like about him.
Defensively, you're playing extremely well against the pass right now, only allowing 115 yards so far per game through the air.
Yeah, we've done a much better job. Chris Norgard came back this week. Darby Lundy's doing a nice job. Ryan Williams back there is doing a nice job. But they got us a couple times in the pass game, but it was play action pass, those things. We just got to do a better job shutting down the run because then they eat up a lot of clock, and we got to get 1 or 2 turnovers if we possibly can. They didn't turn the ball over at all, and so in that kind of a game, you need to have some of that happen. We're also just kind of die by the run game, and that's what happened to us this week defensively.
We turn our attention now to Northern State. They're a team that enters this week's game 0-2, but another dangerous team offensively. That seems to be the theme every week, a dangerous offensive team, especially in Northern's case, running the football.
Well, and they're running it differently than we've seen the last couple of weeks. Crookston had a great tailback, and they did it by committee a little bit at Duluth, running the football. And this time it's going to be a quarterback. He carries the ball the most for him. He's got the most yards. How he goes, they go. So it's another one of those read option teams that we've done very well against over the last couple of years. So I expect our defensive front 7 will get after the quarterback and put a lot of pressure on him and make a lot of contact with the kid.
The Minnesota Duluth game is a game that you guys have had circled for a long time. How do you refocus the guys now going forward, knowing that there's so much still to play for?
Well, one game does not make a season, and our guys know that, and we have a pretty mature club right now. So as I told the team on Sunday, you evaluate it, you go through it, you find out how we in different groups can do things better and have more accountability, and that's what I brought up. But then after our film was done, we're done. Let's go to the next one. The longer you hold on to that one, the worse it is. The only thing we have to hold on to is I got to go all the way through Thursday's luncheon. But besides that, the kids are done with it. We'll be back in practice. We'll be all Northern this week, and that's all we care about.
So what do you have to do as a team to get another victory on Saturday?
I think 2 things. One is we need to start fast again and have we need to have a lot of people here. We need to have a big crowd. That really helps. Playing on the road is tough, and coming from Northern is even tougher. So we need to have a nasty crowd down here. It'll be kind of fun. We need our students to come out. But also, we also have to have a fast start in the second half. We've only scored 7 points in the third quarter in over 2 games. Something we've traditionally been very, very good at. We haven't done that in the first 2 games. So believe me, that's something coming we got to turn up the gas coming out of the locker room at halftime. So you should see a little more inspiration out of those guys coming up.
Excellent. We'll be looking forward to it. And before you're done here today, we're going to come back after this break, take a look back at the highlights from the game against Minnesota Duluth on Saturday.
Financial startophobia. Fear of financial endeavors causing putting off till the day after tomorrow that which should have been done the day before yesterday.
If you have financial startophobia, I would recommend Merchants Bank. I had a little touch of financial startophobia, had a good recommendation, and went to the bank and had a great experience. Merchants Bank has personal service. I'm not afraid of anything. They've been around for over 130 years. You know who you're dealing with. Merchants Bank, the bank that's service built.
Welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. It's time for some highlights from the Warriors game at Minnesota Duluth. We're going to start with a little bit of defense. A great stand on the Bulldogs' first drive of the game.
Yeah, I think we did a nice job. We ran it down. The defense was, cranked up there early in the game. Got a lot of pressure. You see that tackle right there by Ryan Williams coming down inside, made a great play right there. He's a fantastic football player, and he's all over the place. You see a safety with tackles for losses. Something's happening. Again, good pressure, kept Vogler in the pocket, and coming out of the hole there, making a good play on the defense. They're doing a nice job.
We're going to see a lot of this type of play in this highlight package. John Teaglin's going to go deep to Tyler Spear for a big gain right here.
Well, you can see we gave him a lot of protection. He had plenty of time to step up, and Tyler made a catch there, got 1 foot down on the sideline over there, did a great job. He had a big day for us as well.
And then Rayon Simmons breaking some tackles and getting some yards.
Yeah, Ray's doing his thing. He's a big, powerful back, and he's a guy that's going to, make a 2-yard loss into an 8-yard gain, and that's exactly what you saw right there.
This is another pass. This one's short to Tyler Spear, but he catches and runs with it.
Yeah, we worked hard in our diagonal game and crossing routes and those kind of things. It makes it tough to defend, especially for zone teams, and we did a nice job at it. John read it well and continued to play.
A great defensive play there, and another defensive stop right here. You're going to get to the Minnesota Duluth quarterback on this one.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do. He's a 4-year starter. Again, you can see just pressure. You got to get 3 or 4 people. He's going to sneak out of there, tackle for a loss right there. But our guys did a good job with him all day.
Right here again, Rayon Simmons. It's become what Warrior fans have expected out of this guy.
Yeah, he's cutting back. He doesn't need much of a crease. He can run through one. We take a lot of pride in making one miss, and we can't block them all. So the running back's responsible for the last one. He did a nice job right there.
Again, John Teaglin going deep.
Yeah, that's Sean Hurts down there. Sean had a touchdown as well, and what he does best is go up in the air and catch a football, and you see a great example of it right there. Here's another one. So a touchdown there for the Warriors. Nice drive, about an 80-some-yard drive, took it in and scored. It was really a lot of fun. We had it going early in the ball game.
John Teagland on this play, once again, dialing it deep.
Hey, he took a shot right afterwards, too. That's Josh Mikas. Made a great catch over the top of the defender. Again, we got some big, long receivers right now. We're taking advantage of that.
Great run by Rayon here, getting you down inside the red zone.
Yeah, again, powerful, and then we got got in position to get the field goal, and we did there with Jake Vercher.
You'll see the arm strength of John Teagland on this play. Look at where he lets it go, and look at where it's caught.
Yeah, and that was into about a 20-mile-an-hour wind, to be honest with you. So he's got a huge arm. Did a nice job getting the ball downfield.
A stop at the goal line here by the Warrior defense.
Yeah, we swarm around pretty well. We're not big in there, but we can run around pretty well and make some things happen with a lot of movement. It was a good job there on the defensive stand.
Another offensive weapon here, Jay Adams.
Jay's had a nice year for us already in 2 games. He's a senior. He's a captain. Making big plays for us there is one for another first down.
Warrior defense getting after it on this play.
Yeah, again, running to the football. We just had a couple times where they got away from us, but that particular play was great to see 11 guys in the picture.
And we'll finish that one with a great throw down the field to tight end Kyle Melcher. So those are some of the highlights from the game in Duluth on Saturday, and there'll be more highlights this week, 4:30 on Saturday, September 15th against Northern State. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. I'm joined now by Warrior defensive tackle Anthony Frisby. And Anthony, you played in 6 games last year. Now you're starting as a sophomore. How has this season been for you so far, just 2 games in?
Pretty good, actually. We ended up taking a loss last week, but I think in losing that game, we learned a lot more about our team and what we need to do to be an elite force in this NIC conference.
It's a defense that has played really well through the first two games. You gave up no points in your opener. Even though Duluth scored some points last week, I think the score maybe wasn't indicative of how you guys played on defense. What has been your keys to success so far this season?
Just doing things right. You need to get everybody, all 11 people on the same page. And when everybody does the same thing, do it right, you get success.
Like good things happen when everybody's working together and going in the same direction, right? The defense has allowed just 115 yards passing per game so far this season. And to have a good pass defense, one of the things that goes into that is having a good push up front on the defensive line. When you see a quarterback drop back to pass, getting ready to throw the ball, what do you think, and what's your game plan when you see him go back to pass trying to get to him? What's rolling through your mind?
Pretty much pressure, make him speed all of his thoughts up, make his reads quicker, and just put all the pressure on him. And eventually, one of the O-linemen are going to slip up, or you're going to get him a good one. So, and when that happens enough times during the game, you already know what that means.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you guys play a 3-down front, a 3 defensive linemen, and sometimes you only rush 3, and you've still been able to get some pretty good pressure with just those 3 guys rushing the quarterback. What allows the 3 guys at the line to get such a great push into the backfield?
Just working together, different schemes allow for different things. You know, backers faking the blitz might have an O-lineman go one way, and he might end up going the opposite way, and just end up hitting the hole and getting right there.
You spent the last 2 seasons playing behind Matt Ulrich, one of the best defensive tackles in school history. Spent your redshirt year learning from him, and then last year as a redshirt freshman, you got to learn from him. What are the lessons or the things that you learned the most by watching him play?
Basically, what I learned from him is I based everything off him. So he's a very great player. He does most everything right, and you can't match his size really. But I use it as a basis for my technique, everything. So one day, I'll work on this and just keep getting better, and hopefully one day I'll either be at that standard or surpass him.
And you guys go up as a defensive line, you go up against the Winona State offensive line every day in practice. We're going to talk to Coach Blazek here in a minute about that offensive line. But it's such a good offensive line, and you guys have such a good defensive line. How much does it help those 2 units that are so good at what they do to see each other every day in practice and to go up against each other every day? Does that make you guys better each and every practice?
Yeah, I think so, because you know the other guy across from you is good. So if you're not giving it your all every play, somebody's gonna get smoked. So you gotta bring it every play.
The best brings out the best in everybody else, right? All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Anthony, and we will be back one more segment here on the Tom Sawyer Show.
Financial startophobia. Fear of financial endeavors causing putting off till the day after tomorrow that which should have been done the day before yesterday.
If you have financial startophobia, I would recommend Merchants Bank. I had a little touch of financial startophobia, had a good recommendation, and went to the bank and had a great experience. Merchants Bank has personal service. I'm not afraid of anything. They've been around for over 130 years. You know who you're dealing with. Merchants Bank, the bank that service built.
Welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show on the Warrior Sports Network. Our final guest today is Winona State co-offensive coordinator and offensive line coach A.J. Blazek. Thanks very much for joining us today, Coach. First of all, and second, let's start with the biggest storyline of the season so far, and that's Rayon Simmons and his pursuit of the school's all-time rushing record. You've gotten to coach linemen now who have blocked for him for 4 years. Just what makes him such a good runner?
The biggest thing with Ray is Ray's kind of breaks out of that running back stereotype. Ray's a very smart running back, sees pictures well. You do it for 4 years, you get a lot of reps at it. And so those running backs that might play for a year or two, they don't get maybe the same feel that the guy that's been in, what's he going on, 44 games this year. Mm-hmm. So he's got a lot of vision, he's got a lot of experience, and I think getting to know the linemen, he has a good relationship with those guys. It really does help.
He's been tremendously consistent during his career. What makes him able to do what he's doing game in and game out?
Probably the biggest thing is his off season. I mean, Ray comes in very fit. He does go home for the summer, but in our spring workouts, he grinds. He likes to get after it. He's one of our more powerful athletes on our program, and he came back at almost 220 pounds this year, and he was ready to carry the load. Him and Theo had shared it for a couple of years, but he keeps his feet moving. He's very strong and powerful, and that lets him carry the thing 15 to 30 times a game, depending on what we're doing.
The offensive line you're putting out on the field right now, it's a real mix of both youth and experience. You've got guys like Jake Lilla, who's in his third year starting and is a junior. So he came in, played early, and has played a lot, but is still an underclassman. How much does that experience of having those guys here for so long together benefit you?
Well, just like I mentioned with Ray, the O-line is kind of one unit. And I talk about with our guys all the time, I say you got to put the 5 best on the field. And it doesn't always mean the best individuals. It's the 5 best that click together and produce. Communicate, maybe they don't communicate, they just see looks together. But I think that's the biggest thing with the offensive line. And even since my first year, you had 3 veterans in Hans, Greeton, and Enos that played together. And so that made that transition smooth. And then you filter in a couple young guys with each group. Before you know it, those young guys are the old guys. And I don't think you ever want 5 old ones, because that means the next year you're going to have 5 new ones. And so we've been fortunate to have experience every year and have 1 or 2 young guys get an opportunity to kind of grow with that older group.
As an O-line coach and a former offensive lineman yourself, what's more fun for those guys? Do you like run blocking or do you like pass blocking? Which one do you guys like more?
There's no question. When I got here, Winona State ran the football. That's one thing we still do is we run the football. So it's funny, we were about 50-50 in the first half the other day when we were really clicking on offense, and our guys were still coming out, Coach, what are we running all that pocket for? Coach, let's grind them up. Hey, if we get 15 yards of carry, we'll grind them up. But if we're mixing back and forth, we're going to do a little bit of both and keep things balanced. So they're definitely greedy to run a football. Just like a defensive end's probably greedy for third down.
That's right. And as much as those guys like run blocking, the pass blocking was in tip-top shape on Saturday up in Duluth. John Teaglin throwing for 375 yards. How much does a balanced offense like you guys have been able to produce over the last few years, how much does that help you be successful?
It helps a ton. Our best passing game is when we can play action off of our run stuff, and that's when we were really getting down the field a lot, the first half. When we get in a game, if we're just sit back and throw, we can do that. I think we threw it 44 times maybe. We had 2 sacks given up, and we had a couple hits that got there. But we don't spend a ton of time on our protection. We keep it simple. We do 1 or 2 things, and we rep it a lot. So I think that exposure is the biggest thing, really to help our protection.
Going forward now, Northern State comes in on Saturday, second home game of the year for you guys. What do you have to do offensively to get going? You really got going against Crooks in the opening game. Still were going against Duluth last weekend, but what do you got to do now against Northern, now that there's a couple games of tape out there on you guys this season?
Well, we've heard Coach for my 4 years here is do what we do it very good, keep it simple. We'll have some trickeration in every week, some stuff off of our base packages, but from week 1 at Crookston to what we did at Duluth was no different, and it's going to be the same stuff this week. We really believe that, you talked about experience. Let the running backs, let the O-line, let the quarterback, wide receivers do what they do every day. We're not going to be an offense of the week or a 5-flavor offense. We're going to do what we do and bring it right back out and continue to grow in what we're doing with this group of kids.
Absolutely, and we'll see that Warrior offense on Saturday, 4:30 here in Winona, Verizon Wireless Stadium. It'll be the Warriors and Northern State. Come out to the game. It's going to be a great atmosphere. If you can't make it for whatever reason, you can watch it on TV, HBC Channel 25. Also hear the game live on the radio, 89.5 KQAL. But hopefully we see each and every one of you out there. Thanks a lot for joining us this week. We'll see you next week on the Tom Sawyer Show.